The massive silver ship appeared over New York City without warning. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time, stretching nearly 2 miles from end to end. The morning sun reflected off its smooth surface as millions of people stopped what they were doing to stare up at the sky. Within hours, similar ships appeared over London, Tokyo, Moscow, and 20 other major cities around Earth. The world held its breath. Militaries scrambled jets that looked like toys next to the alien vessels. News reporters spoke in hushed voices while cameras zoomed in on the ships that just floated silently in the sky. Then came the message. It reached every television, radio, and internet connection on the planet at exactly noon, Greenwich Mean Time. "People of Earth," the voice said in perfect English, though somehow everyone heard it in their own language. "We are the Galactic Assembly. We come in peace and friendship. We wish to meet with your leaders." Secretary General stood in the emergency session hall of the United Nations. Delegates from every nation sat in stunned silence as she read reports from around the world. The ships had not moved. They had not attacked. They simply waited. 3 days later, a smaller craft descended from the ship over New York. It landed gently in Central Park, and 3 beings emerged. The lead figure was tall and graceful, with blue-tinted skin and large, dark eyes. Behind him walked a creature that seemed to glow softly, its form shifting like morning mist. The third being looked more solid, with gray skin covered in intricate patterns that moved and changed. Ambassador of the Hegemony stepped forward first. He had conducted first contact procedures with 47 different species over his long career. Each time, the pattern was the same. Initial fear, then curiosity, then eager acceptance of what the assembly offered. Secretary General said, his voice warm and friendly, "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. I am Ambassador. These are my colleagues, Harmony Singer of the Collective and Synthesizer Prime 7 Alpha of the Unity." Felt small standing before these beings, but she kept her voice steady. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador. We are honored by your presence." The beings followed into the United Nations building. Word had spread quickly and crowds gathered outside, some cheering, others protesting, most simply watching in amazement. Security was tight, but the aliens had brought no weapons and asked for no special treatment. In the General Assembly Hall, representatives from every nation on Earth waited. Had never seen the room so quiet. Even the translators sat in silence as the universal translation device the aliens provided made their services unnecessary. Stood at the podium and began his presentation. He had given this same speech dozens of times before, but he never grew tired of seeing the wonder in a species' eyes when they learned what awaited them among the stars. "People of Earth," he began, "you are no longer alone in the universe. For over 2,000 of your years, the Galactic Assembly has maintained peace and prosperity across this spiral arm of the galaxy. We represent 847 different species, all living together in harmony." He gestured, and holographic images filled the air above the assembly. Beautiful worlds appeared, showing cities that touched the clouds and oceans that sparkled with artificial suns. Ships moved between the stars like silver dolphins swimming through space. "We offer you membership in our great family," continued. "No more disease, no more aging beyond your prime, no more hunger or want. We will share our technology freely. You will travel between stars as easily as you now travel between your cities." The images changed, showing humans working alongside aliens, learning from teachers with multiple arms, healing patients with devices that looked like magic. Children played in gardens under alien suns, while their parents explored wonders beyond imagination. Harmony Singer stepped forward, her misty form pulsing with gentle light. When she spoke, her voice seemed to reach directly into the hearts of everyone listening. "We offer friendship and understanding. Your cultures will be preserved and celebrated. Your arts and music will join the great symphony of galactic civilization." Finally, Synthesizer Prime 7 Alpha presented the practical details. Our protection systems will shield your world from cosmic dangers. Our economic networks will ensure prosperity for every human. Our medical technology will extend your lives by centuries. Our educational systems will unlock the full potential of your minds. The presentation lasted 2 hours. When it ended, the assembly hall remained silent for a long moment, looked around the room, seeing the faces of her fellow humans. Some looked excited, others worried, but all seemed overwhelmed by what they had heard. Stood slowly and walked to the podium. The aliens watched her with patient, expectant expressions. This was always the best part for them, when a species realized the gift being offered and gratefully accepted. Ambassador began, her voice carrying clearly through the hall. We are grateful that you have traveled so far to meet us. We are honored by your offer and amazed by what you have shown us. Smiled, the formal acceptance was coming. Soon, another species would join the great galactic community, and the universe would be a little bit better. However, continued, and smile faltered slightly. After careful consideration and discussion with the leaders of Earth, I must give you our answer. She paused, looking out at the assembled representatives of humanity, then back at the aliens who had offered them the galaxy itself. Our answer is no. The silence that followed seemed to stretch forever. Blinked his large eyes several times, certain he had misheard. In the two of assembly expansion, no species had ever simply refused their offer. I'm sorry, he said carefully. Perhaps the translation device is malfunctioning. Did you say no? I did, replied firmly. Thank you for your generous offer, but humanity respectfully declines to join the Galactic Assembly. We wish to remain independent. The three aliens looked at each other in confusion. This had never happened before. They had no protocol for this situation. Species always wanted to join. They always accepted the gifts. They always chose the easier path. Perhaps, said, struggling to maintain his diplomatic composure, you need more time to consider. This is a momentous decision. We have considered it carefully, said. Our answer remains no. And with those words, everything changed. Ambassador paced back and forth in his ship's communication chamber. The curved walls displayed star charts and data streams from across the galaxy, but his attention focused on one small blue planet below. 3 days had passed since the humans delivered their impossible answer, and he still couldn't understand it. Replay the transmission again, he told his aide. The holographic image of Secretary General appeared once more, speaking those incomprehensible words. Our answer is no. Harmony Singer materialized beside him, her form shimmering with concerned colors. I have been monitoring the emotional resonance of their population. There is no deception. They genuinely do not want what we offer. Synthesizer Prime 7 Alpha's metallic voice echoed from the communication system. I have analyzed 847 previous first contact scenarios. Statistical probability of refusal was calculated at 0.0001%. This outcome was deemed impossible. Stopped packing and looked out at Earth. There must be something we're missing. No species refuses faster-than-light travel. No one turns down immortality treatments. It's inconceivable. He activated the long-range communicator and connected to Assembly Central on the core world of Nexus Prime. Within moments, the face of Supreme Coordinator Al appeared in the hologram. Ambassador, Al said, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. I have received your preliminary report. Surely there has been some error. No error, Supreme Coordinator. The humans have declined all offers of membership, technology sharing, and protection. Al's face showed the same confusion felt. In 2,000 years of expansion, this has never happened. What do they want instead? That's what troubles me, replied. They don't seem to want anything from us. They simply asked us to leave them alone. On Earth, sat in her office reviewing reports from around the world. The alien ships still waited in orbit, neither leaving nor making new demands. Scientists worked frantically to understand the technology they had been briefly shown. Military leaders planned for every possible scenario. But what worried most were the messages flooding in from world leaders. Half wanted to reconsider the decision. The offer was too good to pass up, they argued. Cures for cancer, an end to aging, unlimited energy, travel to the stars. How could they refuse such gifts? Dr. Sarah, chief advisor on the alien situation, knocked on the door and entered. The aliens have requested another meeting. They want to clarify their offer. Do they think we didn't understand them the first time? Apparently, they keep saying this has never happened before. Sides schedule the meeting, but our answer won't change. The next day, the 3 alien ambassadors returned to the United Nations building. This time, they brought additional materials, detailed explanations of every technology, every benefit, every protection they offered. Activated a new holographic display. Perhaps we did not properly explain the magnitude of our offer. Observe. The air filled with images of human diseases being cured instantly. Cancer cells dissolved under alien medical rays. Damaged organs regrew perfectly. Old people became young again, their bodies restored to peak condition. We can eliminate suffering from your world, explained. Every human could live for 1,000 years or more, healthy and strong. The next images showed massive ships traveling between stars, human crews exploring wonders beyond imagination, cities on distant worlds, floating in gas giant atmospheres or carved into asteroid cores. Humans working alongside aliens, learning sciences that seemed like magic. Your people could spread across 1,000,000 worlds, Harmony Singer added, her voice filled with musical tones. You would never lack for space, resources, or new experiences. Synthesizer Prime 7 Alpha presented the economic data. Assembly membership provides guaranteed basic resources for every citizen. No human would ever face hunger, homelessness, or poverty. Your economic struggles would end immediately. Listened politely, but her expression never changed. When they finished, she stood once again. Your offer is indeed magnificent, she said, but our answer remains the same. Humanity chooses to remain independent. His composure finally cracked. But why? What possible reason could you have for refusing paradise? Looked at the alien ambassador for a long moment before answering. Because it's your paradise, not ours. The aliens exchanged glances of complete bewilderment. Harmony Singer tried a different approach, her form shifting to warmer colors. Perhaps you fear we will change your culture. We promise to preserve human customs and beliefs. Many species maintain their traditional ways within the assembly. We appreciate that, replied, but we prefer to develop our own ways. Even if it means continued suffering, asked. Even if your people die from diseases we could cure, even if you face cosmic dangers alone. Yes. The single word hung in the air like a challenge. Synthesizer Prime 7 Alpha's patterns flickered rapidly as he processed this incomprehensible logic. Your species appears to prefer inefficiency and risk over safety and prosperity. This contradicts all known behavioral patterns of intelligent life. Almost smiled. Perhaps that's exactly the point. The meeting ended with the aliens no closer to understanding humanity's position. That evening, convened an emergency session with the Assembly Council via quantum communication. The holographic chamber filled with representatives from dozens of species. The tentacled aquarians floated in their water tanks. The crystalline chimed their responses. The massive juggernaut Prime spoke in his deep, rumbling voice. Explain this situation, demanded Counselor of the Hegemony. How can a primitive species refuse our gifts? Shared his recordings of both meetings. The council watched in stunned silence as the human leader calmly rejected everything they held dear. "Perhaps they don't understand the consequences," suggested the Aquarian representative. "Show them projections of their future without our help." "Already attempted," replied. "They acknowledge the risks but choose to face them alone." "Could this be a negotiation tactic?" asked the. "Do they want better terms?" "No, they have made no counteroffers. They simply want us to leave." Counselor's image leaned forward. "This cannot be allowed to stand. If other species learn that assembly membership is optional, it could undermine our entire structure." "What do you suggest?" asked. "Continue negotiations. Find their price. Every species has something they want." But even as the council debated, was meeting with world leaders in an emergency session, the pressure to reconsider was mounting. "The African Union believes we should at least accept their medical technology," reported one delegate. "Millions of lives could be saved." "The European Federation agrees," said another. "We could accept some gifts without full membership." Listen to argument after argument. Each seemed reasonable. Each offered tremendous benefits with seemingly little cost. But deep in her heart, she knew that once they started accepting gifts, there would be no stopping. The aliens would slowly and kindly make humanity dependent on them. Within a few generations, humans would forget how to solve their own problems. When the debate ended, stood before the assembly one final time. "Tomorrow I will meet with the aliens again. I will deliver our final answer. Humanity chooses the difficult path. We will face the universe on our own terms, whatever the cost." The vote was close, but humanity's decision stood. They would remain free, even if it meant remaining alone. 3 years had passed since the aliens first arrived at Earth. The massive ships still hung in orbit, but their presence had become almost normal to the humans below. Children grew up drawing pictures of the silver vessels alongside their crayon houses and stick-figure families. But the situation was far from normal. Ambassador stood in the Assembly Council chambers on Nexus Prime, facing growing frustration from species across the galaxy. The holographic images of dozens of alien leaders flickered with impatient energy around him. 3 years, Ambassador," growled Counselor. 3 years of failures. What exactly have you accomplished?" Tried to maintain his diplomatic composure. "We have attempted every standard protocol. Economic incentives, cultural exchanges, humanitarian appeals, security demonstrations. The humans remain unmoved." The crystalline representative chimed with irritation. "Our traders report lost opportunities. The humans have rare earth elements and unique biological compounds that would benefit the assembly, yet we cannot access them." "More concerning," added the Aquarian delegate, bubbles rising in her water tank, "is the precedent this sets. If membership in the assembly is truly optional, other species might begin to question their own participation." Juggernaut Prime's massive form leaned forward. "Perhaps the humans need a stronger demonstration of what they face alone in the universe." Had heard these arguments before. Each month, the pressure increased. Some counselors suggested economic blockades. Others proposed cultural infiltration through entertainment and media. The more aggressive members whispered about show-of-force demonstrations. "The humans are not hostile," protested. "They simply wish to remain independent. Surely we can respect that choice." "No," Counselor stated firmly. "Independence is an illusion in the modern galaxy. Every species must choose, join our protection or face the dangers alone. The humans have not seen what waits for them beyond their small solar system." On Earth, Doctor faced her own mounting pressures. Now serving her second term as Secretary General, she had aged considerably during the alien crisis. Gray streaked her black hair, and worry lines marked her face. The world had changed in 3 years. Some nations still supported the independence decision, but others wavered. Economic problems continued while the aliens offered unlimited resources. People still died from diseases the aliens could cure. Scientists struggled with problems alien technology could solve instantly. The Indian Federation has formally requested we reconsider, reported Doctor during their morning briefing. They're facing another drought cycle that alien weather control could prevent. Rubbed her temples, and the South American Alliance, still supporting independence, but their position is weakening. The border conflicts could be resolved easily with alien mediation technology. What about our defensive preparations? Doctor's expression brightened slightly. Professor Martinez reports significant progress. The Deep Space Monitoring Network is nearly complete. The lunar defense platforms are ahead of schedule. Nodded. Few people knew about humanity's secret projects. While publicly refusing alien technology, Earth had been quietly developing its own advanced systems. Human scientists studied alien broadcasts and energy signatures, learning enough to build defenses without accepting gifts. The work was slow and difficult. Humans had to solve problems the aliens could fix instantly, but every breakthrough belonged to humanity alone. A young aide entered the room, looking nervous. Secretary General, we're receiving a priority transmission from the alien ship. Straightened, put it through. Ambassador's image appeared on the main screen. His usual diplomatic smile seemed forced. Secretary General, I hope you are well. I am contacting you regarding some concerning activities we have detected. What activities, Ambassador? Our sensors indicate you are constructing installations beyond your planet's atmosphere. We also detect unusual energy signatures from your northern territories. May I ask the purpose of these projects? Kept her expression neutral. Earth is developing its own space-based infrastructure. We believe you called it reaching for the stars in your first presentation. Without our assistance, such endeavors are extremely dangerous. Your technology is insufficient for safe space operations. We appreciate your concern, but we prefer to learn through our own efforts. Diplomatic mask slipped slightly. Secretary General, I must inform you that assembly space is regulated for the safety of all species. Uncontrolled expansion by non-member races can create hazards for legitimate traffic. Felt a chill run down her spine. Ambassador, are you threatening us? Not at all. I am simply explaining galactic law. Non-member species are restricted to their home systems until they achieve certain technological and social milestones, or accept assembly guidance. I see, and if we refuse both options? Paused, choosing his words carefully. The galaxy can be a dangerous place for those without proper protection. The transmission ended, leaving staring at a blank screen. The threat had been politely delivered, but it was still a threat. Doctor, contact General immediately. I want a full status report on all defensive projects. Yes, Secretary General. Should we consider this a change in the alien's position? Stood and walked to the window, looking up at the clear sky where alien ships waited invisibly beyond the atmosphere. I think the aliens are getting impatient. Meanwhile, in the outer reaches of the solar system, something was happening that would shock the galaxy. Captain Sarah commanded the Deep Space Monitoring Station base, built into an asteroid between Mars and Jupiter. Her crew of 12 operated the most advanced sensors humanity had ever built. Contact bearing 27 Mark IV, called Lieutenant Torres from the sensor station. Distance 11 million kilometers and closing. Sarah studied the display. The object was small, moving fast, and definitely artificial. Alien. Confirmed. It's broadcasting assembly identification codes. Sarah felt her heart rate increase. This was what they had been watching for. The alien ships in orbit had never tried to approach their defense perimeter before. Range to perimeter. 4 million kilometers and closing. It will cross our declared boundary in 18 minutes. The boundary was humanity's line in space, 1 light-year from the sun. They had announced it clearly to the aliens. Any vessel crossing that line would be considered an act of aggression. Sarah opened a communication channel to Earth. "Control, this is base. We have an alien vessel approaching the perimeter, requesting instructions." His voice came through clearly despite the distance. "This is Control. What is the vessel's size and type?" "Small craft, possibly unmanned. It appears to be some kind of probe." Paused. This was the test they had all expected. The aliens were probing their defenses, seeing if humans would really enforce their declared boundary. "Captain, you have authorization to enforce the perimeter. Humanity's sovereignty is not negotiable." Sarah took a deep breath. "Understood, Control. Weapons system online." The probe continued its approach, seemingly unaware of the danger. At exactly 1 light-year from the sun, it crossed an invisible line in space. "Fire," Sarah commanded. The kinetic projectile launched from base moved at 12% of light speed. It struck the alien probe with the force of a nuclear weapon, vaporizing it instantly. Across the galaxy, the Assembly Council watched in stunned silence as their probe simply vanished. The humans had not only detected it, but destroyed it with a weapon that shouldn't exist in a species barely 3 centuries into their industrial age. "How," whispered Counselor, "how do they have relativistic weapons?" Ambassador studied the sensor data with growing respect and concern. "I believe," he said slowly, "we have underestimated the humans." On Earth, received the confirmation that the alien probe had been destroyed. She felt no satisfaction, only sadness. The galaxy had just become a more dangerous place. "Doctor, prepare a statement. The universe needs to know that humanity will defend its sovereignty." "What should we say?" Looked up at the stars, knowing that dozens of alien species were watching and waiting to see what humans would do next. "Tell them the truth. We choose freedom and we will pay any price to keep it." The destruction of the assembly probe sent shockwaves across the galaxy. Emergency sessions convened on every member world as species tried to understand how a supposedly primitive race had developed weapons that rivaled their own. On Nexus Prime, the Assembly's greatest minds gathered in the central analysis chamber. The room buzzed with nervous energy as data streams flowed across massive displays. "Replay the destruction sequence again," ordered Supreme Coordinator Al. The hologram showed the probe's final moments in slow motion. One instant it was transmitting normally, the next it was simply gone. No energy beam, no missile trail, just sudden obliteration. "Kinetic projectile," announced Synthesizer Prime 7 Alpha after analyzing the data. "Velocity approximately 12% light speed. Mass roughly 2 kilograms. Impact energy equivalent to 4.7 megatons." "Impossible," muttered the representative. "Such weapons require manufacturing precision beyond their capabilities." "Evidently not," replied the Aquarian delegate. "The question is how they developed this technology so quickly." Supreme Coordinator Al activated the priority communication system. "Ambassador, report to the Council immediately. We need answers." While the Assembly scrambled to understand humanity's capabilities, a very different meeting was taking place in a hidden facility deep beneath the Swiss Alps. Doctor walked through corridors lined with quantum computers and holographic displays. This was Prometheus Base, humanity's most classified research facility. Only a handful of people knew it existed. Secretary General, called Professor David Martinez, the facility's director, "Thank you for coming personally." Followed him into a vast chamber where humanity's greatest secret lay revealed. Banks of computers processed data streams captured from alien communications. Holographic displays showed detailed analyses of assembly technology and society. "It's time to tell the world the truth," said. "The probe incident has forced our hand." Professor Martinez nodded grimly. The public deserves to know why we really refused the Assembly's offer. He activated the main display, and humanity's 3 years of secret research unfolded before them. Charts showing Assembly expansion patterns, graphs tracking technological development in member species, and most damning of all, detailed studies of what happened to civilizations after they joined. We detected something troubling in their initial data package, Martinez explained. The Assembly provided historical information about their member species. We analyzed it carefully. The display showed a timeline spanning 2. Species after species joined the Assembly, each graph following the same pattern. Look at this, Martinez pointed to the data. Every member species shows the same trajectory: rapid initial growth after joining, followed by technological stagnation. Innovation drops to near zero within 50 years of membership. Studied the charts with the same sick feeling she had experienced when first seeing this data. Show her the cultural analysis. The display shifted to show artistic and cultural development. The pattern was even more disturbing. Member species gradually lost their unique characteristics, their art becoming homogenized, their music following Assembly standards. They don't just share technology, realized aloud. They absorb civilizations. Worse, Martinez continued, we found evidence that the Assembly's greatest threats are largely of their own making. The void hunters they claim to protect against. They're actually an immune response from the galaxy itself, attacking the Assembly's rigid expansion patterns. Dr. Sarah entered the chamber carrying a data pad. The quantum analysis is complete. We've confirmed our worst fears about Assembly technology. She activated another display showing the deeper truth behind the Assembly's gifts. Their medical technology doesn't just cure disease, it makes species dependent on regular treatments. Their faster-than-light drives only work with Assembly fuel. Their protection systems require constant maintenance from Assembly technicians. Felt the weight of humanity's decision pressing down on her. They create dependency, then call it partnership. Exactly, Martinez confirmed. Within a generation, member species can't survive without Assembly support. Their own scientists forget how to solve problems independently. Their militaries become ceremonial. Their cultures become museum pieces. But some people argue that's a fair trade, said. Peace and prosperity in exchange for independence. Is it really peace if you have no choice? Asked. Is it prosperity if you can't create anything new? Walk to the main communication console. It's time the galaxy knew what we discovered. Open channels to every major news network on Earth and prepare a priority transmission to the Assembly ships. Are you certain about this? Martinez asked. Once we reveal what we know, there's no going back. There was no going back from the moment they arrived, replied. Humanity chose its path 3 years ago. Now it's time to explain why. 30 minutes later, stood before cameras broadcasting to the entire world. She looked tired but determined as she prepared to reveal humanity's greatest secret. My fellow humans, and to any alien listeners monitoring our transmissions, I am about to share information that will change how we see our place in the universe. She gestured to the displays behind her, showing the Assembly's expansion patterns and the fate of member species. 3 years ago, we refused to join the Galactic Assembly. Many of you have wondered why we would reject such magnificent gifts. Today, I can tell you the truth. Explained their discoveries methodically. The stagnation of member species, the loss of cultural identity, the creation of technological dependency, the evidence that the Assembly's protection was really a form of control. We discovered that every species in the Assembly follows the same pattern, she continued. They start as vibrant, creative civilizations with unlimited potential. Within 50 years of membership, they become passive consumers of Assembly technology. Their own innovation dies. Their unique cultures fade. They become interchangeable parts in a vast machine. The transmission reached not only Earth, but was intercepted by communication networks across the galaxy. On dozens of worlds, beings who had never questioned their membership in the Assembly suddenly began to wonder. The Assembly claims to protect its members from cosmic dangers, said. But we found evidence that many of these dangers are consequences of the Assembly's own policies. Their rigid expansion creates instabilities. Their homogenization eliminates the diversity that makes civilizations resilient. On the Assembly flagship above Earth, Ambassador watched the transmission with growing alarm. This human was revealing secrets that could destabilize the entire galactic order. We choose the difficult path, continued, not because we are foolish or stubborn, but because we believe every species deserves the chance to reach its full potential. We will face the universe's challenges in our own way. We will make our own mistakes and learn from them. We will grow stronger by struggling, not weaker by accepting gifts we haven't earned. She paused, looking directly into the camera. To our fellow humans, I ask for your continued support. The path ahead will not be easy, but it will be ours. To the Assembly, we say again, thank you for your offer, but our answer is no. To any other species listening, we say this. True strength comes from within, not from the gifts of others. The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy in stunned silence. Within hours, something unprecedented began to happen. On Assembly worlds, member species started asking questions they had never asked before. Scientists wondered why they had stopped pursuing certain research lines. Artists questioned why their work looked so similar to that of other species. The Assembly faced its first real crisis in two. The humans had done more than refuse membership. They had planted seeds of doubt throughout the galactic community. In his private chambers, Ambassador received an urgent communication from Supreme Coordinator Al. Ambassador, the situation has become critical. Several member species are demanding reviews of their Assembly agreements. The humans have destabilized the entire foundation of our civilization. Closed his eyes, finally understanding what they faced. They weren't just refusing our gifts, were they? They were rejecting everything we represent. Precisely. And now other species are beginning to question whether our way is the only way. The galaxy would never be the same. 25 years had passed since first said no to the galaxy's greatest power. She was an old woman now, confined to a wheelchair but still sharp as a blade. From her office window in the New Geneva spaceport, she could see the busy traffic of human ships coming and going between the stars. The galaxy had changed dramatically since that first refusal. Secretary General called her aide, a young man whose grandmother had been born on Mars. The delegation from the Republic has arrived. They're requesting asylum from the Assembly. Smiled. The N were the 7th species this year to break away from Assembly control, following the example humanity had set. Send them to Ambassador. She'll handle the formalities. Through her window, watched a sleek human vessel prepare for launch. It was heading to the Andromeda Spiral, part of humanity's ambitious exploration program. Human ships now traveled farther and faster than many Assembly vessels, using technology that was uniquely theirs. The early years after the revelation had been difficult. Several Assembly species had attempted to punish Earth through economic pressure and subtle sabotage. But for every species that opposed humanity's independence, another secretly admired it. The first breakthrough came 5 years after speech, when the Confederacy formally from the Assembly. Their leader, Chancellor transmitted a message to Earth that became famous throughout the galaxy. The humans have reminded us what we once were. We choose to become ourselves again. Dr. Sarah, now Earth's Secretary General, entered office carrying a data pad with the morning reports. She had aged gracefully over the decades, her hair silver but her eyes still bright with determination. The quarterly innovation report is in, announced. Human technological development continues to exceed all projections. Our biotechnology teams have developed new medical treatments the assembly never imagined. Our physicists have discovered 3 new forms of faster-than-light travel. Our artists are creating works that inspire species across the galaxy. Nodded proudly. What about the assembly response? Still mixed. The faction wants to impose sanctions, but the reformist movement is gaining strength. Supreme Coordinator Al was replaced last month by someone much more open to change. The political upheaval within the assembly had been intense. Its revelation about the stagnation of member species had triggered the deepest crisis in their history. Some species demanded immediate reforms. Others called for even integration to preserve stability. The assembly had ultimately split into 3 factions. The traditionalists wanted to maintain the old system. The reformists sought to allow member species more autonomy. And the progressives pushed for complete restructuring based on the human model of independent cooperation. Any word from the observer delegation? Asked. His expression became thoughtful. They arrived this morning. The lead observer specifically requested to meet with you personally. Felt a chill of anticipation. The observers were the assembly's founding species, ancient beings who rarely involved themselves in day-to-day politics. If they wanted to meet, something significant was happening. 2 hours later, sat in the formal reception hall facing a being unlike any other in the galaxy. The observer was tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to shift between colors like oil on water. Its large eyes held the wisdom of. The observer said in a voice like distant music, "I am Prime Observer. I have watched your species for 25 years. I'm honored by your attention," replied carefully. "Your people fascinate us," continued. "In all our history, only one species has ever refused assembly membership and thrived. You have not merely survived, you have exceeded our greatest expectations." Studied the ancient being. "I sense there's something you want to tell me." His form shifted slightly, taking on warmer colors. "A confession. The assembly was our creation, built to preserve peace and stability after a devastating galactic war. But we now see that in preventing conflict, we also prevented growth." "You're saying the assembly has failed?" "Not failed, succeeded too well. We created a system so stable that it stopped evolving. Member species became comfortable, complacent. Innovation died because there was no need for it. Diversity vanished because uniformity was easier to manage." The observer moved to the window, looking out at the bustling spaceport where human and alien ships worked side by side. "Your species has reminded us of something we had forgotten. Growth requires struggle. Strength comes from overcoming challenges, not from avoiding them. True diversity means allowing species to develop their own unique solutions, even if they seem inefficient." Felt the weight of history in the room. "What happens now?" "The assembly is changing," explained. "New protocols are being established. Member species will be allowed to opt out of certain programs and pursue independent development. Cultural preservation laws are being strengthened. Most importantly, we are ending the dependency model." "That's wonderful news, but why tell me specifically?" The observer turned back to, its eyes reflecting ancient sadness and new hope. "Because your people have become what we hoped all species could be. You have maintained your independence while building bridges. You have grown stronger through adversity while helping others do the same. You have shown us that true civilization is not about controlling others, but about inspiring them." Felt tears forming in her eyes. "We just wanted to remain free." "Freedom is not just the right to choose your own path," said gently. "It is the responsibility to show others that such paths exist." As if summoned by their conversation, Said appeared with an urgent message. "Secretary General, we're receiving a transmission from the Harmony. They're announcing their withdrawal from assembly control and requesting establishment of independent diplomatic relations with Earth. Laugh softly. How many does that make now? 37 species have left the assembly or negotiated autonomous status, replied. Another 53 are considering it. Made a sound that might have been alien laughter. Your revolution is spreading faster than we anticipated. Is the assembly concerned about the exodus? The old assembly would have been terrified. The new assembly sees it as an opportunity for renewal. Species that choose to stay are doing so out of genuine belief, not dependency. Those that leave are forming new partnerships based on mutual respect rather than obligation. Looked out at the stars, thinking about the journey that had brought them to this moment. What about the future? What happens when every species is free to choose its own path? Chaos, perhaps, admitted, but also creativity, innovation, and growth. The galaxy will become more dangerous but also more alive. Species will succeed and fail on their own merits. Some may even surpass what we achieved. And humanity. The observer's form shifted to display what somehow understood was deep respect. Your people have already exceeded our wildest expectations. In 25 years, you have gone from a single world to a multi-system civilization. Your technology rivals our own. Your art and culture inspire billions. Your diplomatic innovations have prevented 3 wars without firing a shot. Felt a profound sense of satisfaction. We chose correctly then. You chose bravely, corrected. Whether it was correct, history will judge, but you chose as free beings should, with your eyes open and your hearts determined. As the day ended, sat alone in her office, watching Earth's sun set behind the mountains. Tomorrow she would formally step down as Secretary General, her life's work complete. Humanity was free, the galaxy was changing, and the future stretched ahead like an endless ocean of stars. She had lived to see her people's greatest dream fulfilled. They were no longer alone in the universe, but neither were they subjects of a greater power. They stood as equals among equals, free to choose their own destiny. The galaxy had offered them paradise, and they had chosen the chance to build their own heaven instead. In the end, it had made all the difference.